Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm teaching you this. I'm teaching you how to paint this bouquet of flowers in this vase. It's gonna be fun. There's so much happening in here. So let's get to it. I have what is about, I've got a German brush, but it's probably about a 14 round, size 14 round brush. And I've got that for some of the larger florals. What I wanna do is just briefly easily sketch out where I want my vase to be so that we make sure that we have enough space for all the things. So we're just going to roughly sketch out roughly in the center of my landscape positioned paper, and I want it to be rounded, right? So we're gonna round it off here in the front. That looks like it's a little bit less roundy, so let's do it a little bit more. I'm just making these really rough, sketchy marks as well. I just want to make sure that we have all of our flowers and our greens and all that stuff inside the vase, not like we're starting here because then, well, the stem would have to come up weirdly like that to go inside, which is not what we want. And then we're just going to round the top of this too. Just rounding the top. Again, very loosely, very rough. Don't worry about the pencil marks too. Of course, you can erase them more if they bother you. And then we're just gonna start getting into it. So I've got this large brush and I wanna start adding in just some really cool kind of snapdragons or maybe delphinium, larkspur, that kind of stuff. So if I'm following my sample, I'll just start up here maybe with some of those florals. So we're gonna do just some little marks, kind of like this. And we are starting to kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. And so we're staggering, getting a little bit smaller, a little bit higher up each time until we're just basically blobbing on the paint, okay? Let's do something like that again, but with a little bit more pink, adding in some water, keeping it really light. And I want to add one over here. It's kind of hard to know sometimes, where exactly to put things. You're not really sure, but this is the thing. You start filling it in where it makes sense, and then you can always fill in other spaces with other florals just to make everything nice and full. So, like I said before, don't worry too much about where things are going. Did I say that before? I don't know. I was thinking it. If I didn't say it, I was thinking it. All right. Let's do some that kind of come out this way. And so you see how easy this is? Just 2 little brush strokes. With the larkspur or the, I would probably call this a snapdragon. With the larkspur and the delphinium, I would probably do like 5 petals first of all, just so that we're having, that floral, that big bloom. But with the snapdragon, a lot of times you're seeing those guys to the side, and that's just what I'm trying to create right now. A little bit of a side angle. There we go. Hold your brush loosely. Have a loose, relaxed mindset as well. And this guy here, see what I'm saying? When we put in our line, he's gonna have to go woo, and that's okay. He can kind of go woo if he wants to. It's gonna be a little bit funky, but that's okay. And this could actually be part of something else over down here. Over here, we can even kind of move things around a little bit so it makes more sense. Crazy, I'm painting in the morning. I am tired, and sometimes my orientation is off. All right, what I'm gonna do is just soak up some of that water with a clean brush and the paint. So I'm just dabbing it on my paper towel and coming back and with a clean, well, it's fairly clean, but fairly damp brush, and soaking up that liquid. And then we can even just go ahead and change it right now. This is totally separate. Yeah, just a little bit. And we'll have the bushiness happening here too, but everything is supposed to, the stem's supposed to come from this section right there. Okay, so we have a little bit of that happening. And we could even do maybe some purple That would be really pretty. And so with this, I just, you know, don't worry too much about this whole thing, okay? And you can even make it just kind of go down like that. I just want to make it look really fun and filling up the space with these blooms. And make sure to breathe if you are finding yourself struggling, because yeah, that's just what happens if we feel nervous at all. I'm not saying you're nervous, but if you feel any type of nervousness, you might have an issue with holding your breath. Okay, so make sure to breathe. Breathing is so important. I'm switching to a dagger brush right now, just because I want that point. Get a number 2 round if you have, or a number 1 round. Something really nice and thin so that you can do some of these cute little Queen Anne's lace that we're gonna do now. So I'm gonna put in a few here. I'm gonna put one here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to just start with the top part, and we're just going to make a little lines that are starting to curve. See how they're curving? They're curving towards the top right there. Just nice thin little lines. A dagger brush would work really great here too. That one's pretty thick. That's okay though. And just make sure that they are varying heights. Oh, that one was really tall. It's okay. Once again, wildflowers, they're growing wild. They're doing what they want to do. It's all good. And then you can do a little stem. We can always extend that stem later if we need to. Right now, I'm not feeling the need for that. And I want to add one over here too. So just starting with that middle stem. We're just curving around, kind of curving, curving, curving. Just like that. Varying heights. Queen Anne's lace. Did I say that? We're doing Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace is so beautiful. I love seeing it growing along the side of the road. They're just really fun. And let's do another one right here. This is facing downward. Got that middle stem. And just kind of painting around that section. All right? Of where the stem is. Okay. And let's see. We can add one in over here too. I think that would be smart. It's kind of facing this direction. All right. If you get some huge blobs of paint on there, that's okay. I'm trying to go thin, but you're gonna have some sections that are maybe not thin. And actually varying it up, I think it just makes it more interesting. So there you go. Little stem in there. Stem is coming from the right place. Okay. Now let us do another one at this section right here. All right, so hopefully you're getting the hang of this motion. Go slower if you're not really sure about it. And we'll connect this guy. All right. So now what I want to do is start connecting some of the flowers that we have on here with our stems. So this one, and I love this thin brush. That's why a dagger is so nice. So we're just going to make a long line through, and then kind of connecting some of those blooms, just those side stems. You can add in more flowers too, as you see fit if you need to do that. And you can always add in. We want to make this vase of florals just really full and fluffy and all the things and filled out. So we'll continue to add to it, but right now we are just starting to place things, and then we'll see what we need. Okay. And I don't want to put too many stems in there because I do want to leave room for me being able to add some other florals here without the stem being in the way if we want to. When I do the stems, I tend to hold my breath. I was telling you not to hold your breath. Right, in general, it's not good to hold your breath because you're not breathing. You need to breathe. And then you start to get a little bit more, tense and worried, and reminding yourself, as always, that this is a practice for you, that there's nothing to be stressed about here, and that I always like to think, what's the worst that could happen? If you're stressed out about art, what's the worst thing that could happen? I guess the worst thing that could happen is that you don't like your painting. And how bad is that? It's okay. There's a lot of things in life that we don't like, but we can deal with it. We can try again, right? We can try again with fresh eyes, with fresh understanding, and, you know, with a different resolve to try a different method, a different angle, whatever. Seriously, there's plenty of options here. Plenty of options. I want to put in some more of those, I don't know, snapdragons, whatever they are, cutie pies. And right at the base of that vase, base of the vase, you know, just kind of adding in this guy. So he's a little bit shorter than the rest, and that's fine. I just mixed purple into my green. So let's add some more green and connect this one. Okay, all right. So we're starting to fill this out. We're starting to see some little pretty things emerge. I want to put something over here, and I think it's going to be like a stem situation. And I want to add in some red to tone down this brown, to tone down the green. There we go. There we go. And I can just kind of, I don't even have to like make sure it goes all the way in. I can just start working from here. And maybe this will have, you know, some other florals on it stemming off of it. I mean, it will. I just haven't decided where I'm going with this. So I'll just leave that there for a second. And what I wanted to do is actually start up some blue. I don't have a good space on my palette for blue. I need to make some room. So we're going to have sort of this bluish color. I'm still using my dagger, and we're going to stipple at varying heights these Queen Anne's lace flowers. So I don't have white, and if I did, it wouldn't show up on my paper. So instead, I like to use a blue color. And you know what? Who says we can't have blue Queen Anne's lace? I mean, seriously, there's nothing wrong with that. Somebody might find something wrong with that. I find nothing wrong with that. In art, we're getting creative, we're making beautiful things. And sometimes we don't feel like we're making something beautiful. But guess what? It's beautiful because we're practicing and we're learning and we're getting better. And even having a lesson on, okay, I didn't like what I did, it's a valuable lesson because then you change your technique next time. You vary up what you do and you learn from your situation and from your experience. If we don't learn, right, from our mistakes and experiences, then we end up repeating the same things over and over. I'm going to mix up some yellow, beautiful yellow. I did switch brushes. I'm gonna grab my large brush again and really clean that out because I don't want purple mixing in. With my yellow, it's going to be creating a muddy look, and I'm not into that right now. Okay, and it's fine. You know, you could have muddy colors. I just don't want that today. And I'm going to just do, dab a brush first. And we're just gonna do these cute, tiny little yellow flowers. Some of them just have 2 petals, some of them have 5. Some of them are just little blobs. Where did they come from? I don't know, but they're in here, doing their thing, creating some contrast and some beauty. We'll add some of those in here too. And this is a great way to fill up that white space. Start adding in some tiny little blooms. We can add some centers later. And you can even do one flower, you know, that has all these little stipple marks. You can make it a round ball, but I just like to pretend that it's a bunch of tiny little guys complementing our design and dipping into my paint and filling in our space. We can also do a lot of foliage to fill in the white space too, and that can be really pretty. Okay, I will do some more yellow. Let's do some yellow over here. So I still hadn't decided what I was putting in there. I might just do leaves. With my sample, I did kind of a few leaves and then sort of a Queen Anne's lace thing happening here. Even though it's not a Queen Anne's lace, I just had added that in, you know, for whatever reason. And it was cute. But sometimes I like to change it up. Okay, let's add in some greenish flowers. This really lime green, really bright lime green here is a bit intense for me. But if I add in a little bit of our sap green friend, we can tone it down. Maybe a little bit of that purple. And it's kind of fun. I'm liking that. Dab your brush if you have too much on your brush, and we will just start filling in. So at this point, people aren't going to be like really, oops, this brush holds so much water, guys. That's crazy. You know, they're not going to be like, okay, is this stem attached to this flower and all that stuff? You know, we are just adding in, you know, the beautiful things in between. So you have a lot of liberty to kind of do what you want here. And I want to add some more here. You can even just do 1 or 2 of these flowers in the spaces that you want to fill in, you know? Really, it can be really loose, just really pretty. I love this color, loving it. We'll put it in here too. Okay. And we'll grab some more of that paint and a little bit more of this one here. You know, I'm really liking the brightness, so just kind of going with it. And what I want to do very soon is start adding in my vase color and getting that established, because then I like to do my stems right afterwards. Let's do a little bit more of our green over here. Okay, for now, let that hang out. Cleaning my brush a little bit, but still grabbing some of this green color here with the brown. I'm gonna dab my brush, and then I'm just going to press down with the belly and lift up slow, and then same on the other side, leaving a little white space and a really nice point as well. So I'm gonna do that for the rest of these. And establishing some nice leaves. So you can fill in the center if you would like. I like to leave a little white if it's naturally kind of coming out like that. I'm not necessarily doing it on purpose, just the fact is that, you know, I'm not being very careful about filling it in. And I think that's really a pretty thing. So with leaves, you tend to have some points maybe where there's light, you know, bouncing off, reflecting off, and I think that this kind of helps, you know, to emulate that. And so that can be really pretty just to leave it like that. But if you don't like it, you can always fill it in. So we have a lot happening right here. It's pretty heavy on this side. I'm actually going to decide on my vase color now. I think I want to do a blue. So I tend to really like, you know, a turquoise color. We're going to do this blue though. I already did turquoise the other day with a vase. I can't just do turquoise all the time. And I'm going to do sketchy and just briefly, very loosely following my sketch on the other side, just establishing that basic shape and not worrying about being too precise, okay? Is a sketchy flower. We want to do this part in the inside too, so that we have the bottom done, which is rounded like that. And then rinsing our brush, we're going to dab it, and then we're going to just touch down on the color and allow that to start spreading out just a little bit, okay? And that way we're getting some color here, some reflections of where the light is, or the colors from other things around are reflecting in the glass. And that's one way I like to make, you know, a kind of a clear vase, by just allowing some of that paint to spread out. And we will just add a little bit of some streaks. If you want to take off some color, You can do that with your brush, with a damp, clean brush. We're really just gonna let that hang out for a little bit. Let's do the top part. And we will add in a few more layers too in a little bit. Sketchiness. Loose. Loose, easy. Easy peasy, loosey-goosey. And I just like to spread out that color. And if it's a little bit too much, just kind of bring it down. All right, there we go. And I'm actually gonna dip into, let's see, was this the blue I was using? A little bit of that more dark blue, and I'm gonna add a little bit more of that in. Just kind of following the contour. If it's still wet, it'll spread. If it's not still wet, you can spread it yourself. Lots of options. Clean off the brush. Clean off the brush. One more time. Kind of just touching on that paint and letting it spread out. Letting it spread. Lifting some color if you're not liking what you're seeing. Oops, I just put in extra water. Please lift that water. If that happened to you, lift and dab on your paper towel. All right, lift and dab. It's okay, not all is lost. We are still able to utilize this. Lift and dab. Sometimes you just get some interesting, results and marks out of, this whole thing. Vases can be challenging. They definitely challenge me. And we'll just leave it like this. Once we start getting other things in, it's gonna make more sense. Okay, we can always change it a little bit too. I think I'm gonna grab some of this green here. There was some red in there just to darken it up. A little bit more of this. And I like the leaves. I think I'm gonna add in some leaves on my own, or extra ones here on this side, just to balance it out a little bit. So let's just do the same thing, bringing in a bit of a branch and a little stem, establishing the leaf. I'm trying not to touch the vase since it's wet. And then I can do another one here with the stem. It's okay if things crisscross, if they mix and match too. It's totally fine. If you paint over an already established flower or greenery or whatever, it's okay, it's gonna be fine. And let's do some leaves here too, just to have a little balance in the middle from what we have on the sides. So instead of doing a stem, I'm just adding in the leaves, just like so. You can add a little stem afterwards if you want. We're just kind of connecting them together. And what else do we want to do? I want to do a few more kind of Queen Anne's lace looking things. So I've got my blue paint, and we are just going to stipple in some blue. Maybe it's not going to be Queen Anne's lace, I'm not sure yet, but we can call it that. It's a little bit of a circle of blue. I just think they're so pretty, and I want to include some more in there. And if you wanted to add some stems later too, you can. Okay, let's do some over here as well. And so this is just super easy, guys. We're filling in that space with some really pretty color. Not overthinking it in any way. And a lot of these florals are gonna overlap and one over the other, and that's fine. I'm just gonna do the same thing here without adding in our Queen Anne's lace, the greens and stuff, just putting them in. Just putting them in. So I'm curious how you feel about your florals right now. And also, if you're liking this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on my tutorials in the future. We have a lot of fun on this channel. I love to talk about mental health with painting, self-care stuff, because I'm a therapist and I can't not talk about it. It's just a fact of my life. Fact of my life. Okay, so taking in your whole painting, you might want to just take a step back and analyze where you're at, where you're going. If there's anything else you want to add in, it's a good time to do that. Right now I'm just being pretty loose about this. Lots of water on my brush and letting that paint just spread. I am going to grab some of this nice, what I call sap green, and we're going to establish a few more leaves just randomly in the bouquet itself. So just a little stem, pressing down, a little bit of stem, pressing down, lifting up slowly, telling myself that. And then you can just do a few little marks like that. So this is a bit darker than the other leaves, more saturated paint versus going lighter with more water. Want to give a bit of a contrast to what I've already put down. And so like I said before, we're just filling in, and our big flowers, which are, you know, these guys and these guys here, those are the stars of the show. And then this is just, you know, the complementary part, adding in some pretty foliage and some small blooms just to complement everything together. Here too, I do love this color. And I do want to darken up a lot of my other, the foliage, as well as the flowers that I put on here. So we're gonna do that next. You could do some rounded leaves if you wanted. Just bringing them down, some little grasses or whatnot, and just adding that in lightly. So now that I feel like I've got a good amount of everything on here, I want to add in just a little bit more foliage. So I'm going to take some blue in my green and a lot of water, a little bit of red, just to make it a little bit more subdued, more water. And I'm just literally going to go around and make these little tiny marks, okay? I don't want these white spaces. Okay. All right, just adding in the marks. So I'm looking at the sample that I did, and I'm seeing there was such a tightness in the bouquet. And I don't have that as much here. Yes, I am comparing so that I can kind of, you know, achieve the look I was intending and going for. Also, I want to start adding a little bit more of some foliage, you know, like right here. So you can kind of do that right now. Just bringing some of that down. And it doesn't have to be the same type of leaves. I just, since that's on my brush, adding that in. At this point, we can do some other types of leaves, kind of coming down, coming down. Sorry guys, it's in the morning and my voice is feeling like it's still waking up. So there's that. I'm just going to paint over the top of this. We want to do some shadow sides, some shadow parts, and just make this look more 3D. And this is just, you know, really simple what I'm doing. I am not, you know, trying to do anything very specific. Just adding a little bit more color in, and you can even go over your stem too if you'd like. A little sketchiness to your stem that's what I'm going for today. And maybe a little bit more saturated for some of these over here. I like the look of that. So I just dipped directly into the paint well for this one, leaving the white space on the leaves, but just creating a darker contrast to our leaves that we already put down. So before I was saying, how are you feeling about your painting? We're just gonna darken up some of these snapdragons too. I love brilliant color, and I'm happy to go a little bit darker, a lot darker on these guys. Yeah, how are you feeling about your painting? If you are not loving it, always look for something that you do love. You know, what can you appreciate your colors, your composition, your stick-to-itiveness also, because this is a longer tutorial and something to, you know, pat yourself on the back about and say, I did it, I established it, I did the painting, I've learned a few more skills than I had before I did this today, and I'm gonna continue practicing, continue getting better, continue loving watercolor, learning together and all the things, you know, all those compliments to yourself and the positive reinforcement, do just that, reinforce behavior. They cause you to want to repeat those behaviors and do them more often. If you get positive feedback from others too, that helps to encourage you. If you get negative, that often tends to discourage that behavior in the future. And sometimes it makes you just want to give up. So be careful too, who you talk to, who you show your paintings to. You probably by now have learned the people that are safe in your life, that want to see your art. So continue to go to those people and, ask for feedback, ask for, how they feel about certain things, and listen to what they say. And, maybe you're one of those people that just doesn't feel like you have someone that you can talk to or show your art, or doesn't feel like they care. Oh, it's okay. Social media can be a scary place, but it can also be an incredibly supportive place if you have the right group of people that you're around and you're just sharing your art. So it's just something to think about. I'm just gonna add a little bit more leaves over here. And what I would like to do is start adding in some of those stems. So we've got a lot happening in here. I'm just gonna start adding them, just kind of crisscrossing around and moving and arcing. We can even add in different colors in there just to vary it up. And some thick ones and thin ones as well. It's got a lot happening in there. You can add some brown or black to darken up your green too. And add some of those as stems. Dabbing your brush if you'd like. That can help. If it's too liquidy, there we go. And just kind of establishing where those are going to be at. And just let it sit for a while. Okay, so I do want to add in, what do I want to add in? Just a little bit of black in the centers for the yellow flowers. I don't know exactly what they are. Actually, we'll do brown. I'm just dipping into our concentrated paint, and I'm just going to stipple some brown into the centers of those, just like that. Super easy. If they have a center, if not, you could make a center, honestly. It doesn't matter. They'll just kind of blend together anyway. So there you go. A few over here. And you can even do some thin stems too, if you want. I'm gonna take my dagger, clean it off, and get some green going. Once again, I use so much green. Love doing foliage, love doing plants. And just a few little stemmies, just to make this look a little bit more realistic. Kind of connecting all the guys together in there. So florals are really fun. It's a great practice. I like to go loose, but then sometimes it's not as loose as I thought. And, in one of my other videos, I was just recently talking about finding your style. And your style can change from time to time. What you're attracted to, what you love. And you go to Pinterest and you look at all the things on there, you start to see, what is it that you're really looking for, that you're really drawn to. And that gives so much information to inform you on what you like to paint too, most likely. From what you like to see other people paint and what you're saving on your boards, that kind of thing. And that can help you find the style, but you know what? You don't have to pick a certain style either. All right, guys, last but not least, we're gonna do some splatter. I'll take this purple color that I have, and I'm just gonna tap the brush. A little bit of splatter here on the top, around those florals, and we're done. Thanks for being here. I'll see you soon on the next video.